price. But it ain't free, it don't come cheap. Only the strongest will survive. Hey! You ain't seen nobody like this.
Good evening and welcome to SA Soccer Roundtable, the high school edition, although we're going to kind of change things up a little bit tonight because we're going to have Coach Kano stop by, give Rafa some pointers before he makes his state selections all the way. We're at the Sweet 16. We got a bracket set up here for him to go through. We're going to start at 6A, 5A, and then go down to 4A, opposite of what we did the earlier one here. So stay tuned on here. But we did want to touch base on what happened last night. We had a San Antonio FC versus Defeaters U.S. Open Cup, a 3-0 match. Unfortunately, I was feeling under the weather with the allergies. You know, if you looked at my picture that I posted yesterday, I looked like some people said I was stoned out of my mind. Others were like, "Oh my God, it's so painful." But you know, thankfully to the Texas Med Clinic, I got my steroid shot, and it kicked in late last night, and so far back up pretty good here today. But Rafa, you were able to make it to the game. Your initial thoughts on the game? You know, San Antonio FC did win 3-1. They got their goals in 5-10 minute period, I believe.
Yeah,
is what it was here. But your thoughts? And we got a brace by a youngster.
Yeah. Well, going on to the game, you know, it was a mixture of some veterans and some young academy players, and it, you know, like I said, it was going to take a while because some of those veterans haven't played with those academy kids. You know, it's just, the chemistry is going to take a while, but it was good to see the beard out there.
Mm-hmm.
Snaggy, the blue jersey, which kind of looked too familiar for those RGV ones. But we'll get into that later. But it was also great to see the Tunisian Terminator, Canary. He looked in form. He looked great in form, and then also it's kind of weird. We played a 3-5-2, which normally we don't play, but I think that was by design. And you know, we kind of pretty much put veteran leadership in the middle, and then also out on the wings. You know, we did play to a 0-0 tie at the half, but we did dominate, and then finally we started
dominate was a little strong. There were some times where,
as far as possession.
Yeah, but there were some times there where Defeaters had some prime opportunities in that first half.
Yeah, but I say more dominant as far as just the possession of the ball, and not so much with that. But you know, we had a couple chances, I guess, because just not having that chemistry, and then finally, we broke through on one off a post, and one of the academy kids blasted it in, real beautiful shot, placed it right, and got us going, and then
Shockshaw,
Henrik
Shockshaw.
So he got his debut against Phoenix. So I said, well, let me get my debut scoring a goal here. So he not only scored one, but he scored two of them, which is great for him. You know.
And your thoughts on that goal? I thought you could tell against Phoenix, he was out of his element. It seemed like this match he was a little bit more in his element, and I saw, from I believe it was the SAFC communication team, they did a report that was something that him and his dad had practiced there. The rebounds coming back out of the box and to put it in low and quick. And I thought from a technical aspect that was a perfect spot, because how many times have we seen players elevate the ball and either just go over the bar or get it to where the goalkeeper is able to get it. So I thought he did a great job on putting it in the right position.
Yeah, he one-timed the shot. Like normally some also will use a first touch, but by the time you use the first shot, it gets blocked, or you lose the angle of the shot. So no, he pinpointed that shot and it went in. I think it gave him a good confidence booster, especially from that last game. He did look lost in the Phoenix game, but this game, I think he had a little more confidence. I think really having PC out there really helped out. It was as far as guidance, and also Dylan too. Dylan really also kind of guided him too, as far as, and they started touching the ball a little bit better. Um, and then that's when he ended up getting that second one in, and then Maloney ends up getting the little steal and getting the third. I think Maloney could also had a brace too. He missed out on one on a breakaway, but overall, and then we gave one back to them. But it was a great. I think that one was kind of like a defensive mistake. We just kind of fell asleep, kind of like what happened in the Phoenix game.
Mm-hmm.
You couldn't fault.
Well, I think they relaxed, and I will say this about the starting lineup. I won't lie, I was a little shocked to see Dylan, and I was a little shocked to see PC because they didn't play over the weekend, and they played in the Open Cup. And then in hindsight, when I was actually looking at it, looking at their formation here, with Cardoni, Kamari, PC, and Dylan up top, that gives you a strong veteran spine.
Mm-hmm.
And if you notice, young kids outside of Gomez over here on the left side, because he's not like a youngster, but Holt and Padilla, on each side of Kamari, Ambelia, Jordan, Hendrick, Matsuaki, and Gomez, in the midfield. So a lot of young youth there, and then up top you had Kai and Justin, through there. So I thought, hindsight afterwards, it was probably pretty smart, for that little PC, still found some contact.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, won a really bad second yellow, late in the match here, but I think he was, PC was fine. But to me, you have to give Coach Marcina credit on how he put together the lineup with having that strong spine.
Yeah. I was impressed by Jordan, this way some of the runs he made and touched the ball. Hopefully, we'll get to see him a little bit more. I think he can be. He's that a little hidden jewel that if you need a change of pace, especially on the outside, he's a player you can put out there. I was impressed with Shannon Gomez. He was really crossing the ball, and I think we're onto something there. We need to play the ball a little bit more to give chances to, within the crosses, like to Dylan or Collier, or when Patino comes back. I think that's kind of going to be our game there, especially with our tall forwards. So hopefully because he did great. I mean, he ran up and down the field, had great runs, ran great without the ball, and what more can you ask? And then also in the back, Kamiri was just, like I said, lived up to the name of the Terminator. He was not let anybody going through, and I can sense some of the defeater forwards were a little intimidated by him. They didn't want to get too near when they dribble the ball or trying to pressure him. So I'm glad he's back. And then Cardoni, minus that one goal, but that was like off a rebound. He made a great save, especially that one on the kind of like the bicycle, sort of like a side bicycle kick. He was able to save that one. So it's good to know that we have two quality keepers in our bench that we can plug in at any time. But if one goes down, we got the other one. So overall, like I said, it was a good game, a good win, good confidence booster for the academy kids, but also great for like PC and Dylan to get their feet, and also Kimmery to get their feet wet back from the injury or back from that layoff, and get them ready for the big game against OC on Saturday.
I'm trying to find it, but I think it was 16. Trying to find the tweet here, but it's sent out. Well, I'm trying to find it here. Just in other Copa Teos teams, here it is. 405, so SAFC, Academy 05 years, so I would put them 17ish, and two of the 06 made the roster, and 4 out of Roman Holt, Matthew Matsaki, Henrik Shaksha, and Kai Laveri, they are the 05s. Giovanni Padilla, he played in the back here next to Kamiri, and then Eduardo Fernandez is the only one that did not make an appearance in the game. But to me, I didn't hear really anything on the TV side here about Padilla or Holt. Kamiri. So that tells me that they held their positions well. They did a lot of things right. Kai was a little bit silent, as far as being up top, and Matthew, got subbed out at half, and for Mahoney, and when Maloney came in, the game changed, just because he brought in that veteran, midfield presence, because with Matthew in there, was a little bit, talent was probably fairly even. I would estimate that first half, because I do think the Feeders are a older team, but they've played together for a while. And you could show that, now, are they the highest talent? Probably not, but like I said, I think for first match with a game that had 1, 2, 3, 5 academy kids in it, so almost half of your lineup as academy kids, I thought it was a pretty even match. And then when Maloney came in, obviously him, Gomez, and Dylan, they were able to kind of take it to the next stop here here. So that'll complete the Open Cup Friday. I think it's high noon, 11 o'clock. It may be high noon Eastern time, so maybe around 11 o'clock we'll find out which pod and who we will be facing next. I would almost bet the house that we're going to be playing Austin FC. Just I think that's it. Although RGV just equalized actually right this second here. Frank Lopez just tied it up. So if RGV's in it, then I think it makes it a little bit more interesting as far as a pot selection here. Whether we get just Austin FC or not,
or Daddy Dynamo.
Yeah, it'll. So I know there's some discussions on whether the Open Cup is going to go into a pot of 4 or a pot of 6. If it's a pot of 4 and RGV wins, I can almost guarantee it's going to be Austin, San Antonio, Houston, and RGV, because that's 4 regional. However that draws up. If it's a pot of 6, makes it a little bit more interesting, because you figure 2 MLS teams, possibly 3. But the question is who else are you putting in? Because the other
Oklahoma, right? City.
No, well, Oklahoma City's not playing. Tulsa won, but I think Tulsa's going to go up more. With Union Omaha, and through their El Paso lost to Fuego in an embarrassing fashion.
They ended up being on the meme, so.
So it'll be interesting. I could see, I actually think you're going to more likely see Memphis, if they advance kind of that way, then through there. That's why I think, to me, it makes perfect sense to do the 4, but they don't always listen to mine. Last week, did you catch any games over the weekend here as far as for the previous rounds?
We did get to see a big one at Piper High School at Warrior Stadium. Coach Cano and I did the commentary for the Reagan boys versus the Simpson Valley boys, and that was a rematch from a game from the first games of the season, and Reagan had won that one convincingly 5-0, but we knew this one was going to be different, and it was different. It was a very competitive game. We had it looked like we had at least 2,000 fans there, throughout the whole section, that front section. So very lively crowd. They fed off, like I said, just momentum from the cheers. But Reagan, really kind of flexed its muscle, got 2 goals in, and then somehow it came back. But Reagan put them away in the second half on a beautiful goal from a little shot from the outside the corner from the box, and keeper just had no chance. And I think they couldn't recover from that. Just couldn't generate any offense, and Reagan really was on lockdown. even though, like I mentioned, it was a more competitive game. There was a time that, when Simpson Valley did get their goal, they had some momentum, but they just couldn't get that equalizer. So, but kudos to like the Reagan boys. I mean, they've little adversity, they're able to get the win, and now they get to represent their district, into the regional tournament and their backyard there at Comalander Stadium this Friday.
What is it? So it's not going to be at Blossom?
Normally it is at Blossom, at the grass field of Blossom West, but I think, the officials probably decided to move the game to Comalander due to the fact that there's more seating than the Westfield. So I can see why they're doing that. And you are playing 4 games, so it just makes sense to have there more parking there, more it's easy to get in and get out, and then it'll be nice because we'll have the press boxes in there, so we don't have to be outside. so we don't have to be with that heat. So, but it's gonna be interesting because, like I said, I was in the assumption they're gonna be playing in the grass, but it's gonna be great. A great 4 games and then the 2 finals on Saturday.
Coach, welcome. You ready to educate Rafa on who to select in this week's selection pool to make Rafa pick state champions all the way from 6A to 4A?
I don't know, man. He doesn't. He has a tendency to stray. He doesn't listen very much. I keep telling him to take the stairs instead of the elevator, and he takes the elevator. So I don't know.
It's all brown gravy when it comes to
He's killing me.
The question is it packaged or homemade?
What's going on, guys?
Shout out to Lethal Enforcer on that. Sorry, man. You're probably never going to live that one down. If you should have a packaged brown gravy in Texas, my friend, that's.
Hey, that got brought to my attention, and I was actually on his side, man. He was thinking out of the box. So I get where he's coming from. So.
No, yeah, in a pinch, but yeah, that's something that if you do, it's like if you go to every once in a while, the wife will get an inkling for some Taco Bell, and it's one that you don't actually advertise here in San Antonio that, hey, we're going to Taco Bell, even though a lot of San Antonians do because they're still around. So,
yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah, nobody will admit that they do it. So.
You got to go super late at night, right? No one's
super late at night, yeah. Although they have a breakfast $5 thing there. I'm like, ooh, for $5 is yeah, but yeah, I haven't. Yeah. Like, there's always a Taco Cabana closer, so for right here. So let's kind of talk. We're gonna pull up the brackets here. As I told Rafa, we're gonna switch it up this time because normally we do 4A to 6A. This time we're gonna go 6A to 4A, just to kind of highlight the bigger schools and a little bit more in our region at this level here. So Region 1, Final 4 out of it on 6A girls, South Lake Carroll, Allen, and I misspelled Allen, I just saw that. Keller, Flower Mound, Marcus for that here. Out of that quadrant, who do you like coming through, or any surprises there, Coach?
I guess in looking at it for the 6A girls here, I think some of the games that I kind of wanted to highlight that I wanted to hit on. So obviously, Keller and Marcus, I think you get a combined, obviously very strong schedules and combined 3 losses. I think between the both of them. So that's one to watch. But I think where they're trending, how they've been playing, and who they've already beat. I like Marcus.
Okay.
Yeah.
Region 2, Mansville, Klein, Rockwall, or Tomball Memorial?
I'm going to go with Klein, leaning towards Klein on this. Like I said, at this point there are no bad teams. You kind of get to the stage where it's like, hey, anybody can beat anybody. Who's going to show up? right? So it's kind of, and then of course you do have to factor in the regional sites to a certain extent, travel and whatnot and what have you, and you got to remember this group of young of student athletes right now, they haven't played in this format since, if they're still around
2 years, right?
Two
since
years.
2019, since 2019,
So they'd have been
So you gotta think about
sophomores at that
yeah,
point.
because they didn't see it. They didn't see it they didn't see it last year in 2021, and we didn't get this far in 2020, so they haven't seen this format since 2019.
So moving over to Region 3 and 4, Missouri City in Region 3, Missouri City, Ridge Point, Humble, Atascosa, Houston, Stratford, and Beaumont, Westbrook.
Yeah, like coming out of that area, I think you kind of have to lean. Obviously, probably I would say Ridge Point, kind of redemption from last year. I like them a lot, and if not, then maybe a Atascocita coming out of there. But I think it's going to still be a heck of a game to go to, heck of a game to watch. But I like Ridge Point coming out of there.
Yeah, Ridge Point's been number one, right? The most of the season.
Yeah, good chunk of it. Yeah, majority for sure.
And then locally, Region 4, I'll have you address both of them. Austin Westlake, O'Connor, and then Reagan, Brennan. Your thoughts on each one of those, and who do you see winning the weekend?
Yeah, these are going to be dandies to watch. I think when you look at the 6A, when you look at 6A across the board, I think this particular region, I think it's going to be two great matchups. Reagan and Brennan, really interesting to see. As far as Reagan, two great teams, obviously. Reagan's got Taylor Jernigan. They got one of the top players in the state, A&M commit. So how will Brennan play her, right? How will Brennan play her as a team though? Brennan plays great great team ball as well. So how will they defend her? And we saw in last week's regional quarterfinal, Johnson did a great job of isolating Taylor Jernigan for almost for what would we say, about 73 minutes,
Mm-hmm.
and then it was one moment in the open field, a great opportunity, a 1v1 opportunity. She got loose and nailed about a 30-yard strike. So that's what it's going to, I think part of what it's going to come down to is, does Brennan play the mentality? Do they go into it still playing to win, obviously, but when it comes to Reagan, is forcing everybody else, isolate Taylor Jernigan and force someone, or force the rest of Reagan to beat you. When it comes Austin Westlake and O'Connor, interesting news that kind of came out of O'Connor today, right? And one of their key players, one of their box-to-box mids that plays in that 10 role in most cases, in many cases, she's out for the game. So how that affects O'Connor's still got a lot of great athletes, great players. We've talked about, I believe, is it Malia Dominguez, who was recently mentioned, who has, I believe, I want to say 42 or 43 goals on the season, their leading scorer. How will Westlake play her, especially now that one of the top players that feeds her is out for this game for O'Connor? So how will O'Connor game plan? How will they adjust? And then does the moment become maybe too much for O'Connor, or does the name on the jersey, is it too much maybe for O'Connor because it's Westlake? Does Westlake capitalize on it? So going to be two great matchups. I think right now it's looking, obviously it's not impossible. It's looking tough for O'Connor, but of course we had Coach Olivia Flores on the Sunday's edition of Inside Texas High School Soccer, and she sounded like, obviously she had this information kind of already at her disposal, and she sounded very humbly confident, I should say, and she's gonna have O'Connor ready to play.
Any questions, Rafa, that you have for Coach on this one here before we move to the boys?
Just like I said, it's your quality teams in the one. You got your powerhouses. Maybe a couple surprise teams on this. Out of the kind of quote unquote surprise teams, who do you think has the best chance to win it all?
Yeah, best chance? I don't know. When we start talking about surprises, I don't know. Who do you really truly individually? Who do you single out as an actual?
We can say who for pound, who do you think is going to win it all out of these 16 teams?
Are you thinking Keller, or I know you mentioned Point Ridge?
You know, we haven't even mentioned really. You got South Lake and Allen out there. South Lake's looking incredibly strong, right? So, you got a South Lake. You know, could you potentially be looking at a South Lake versus Marcus matchup on one side with possibly with a who are we talking about? Would it be with a Westlake and Westlake and Reagan matchup? You know, possibly with a Westlake coming out on the other side, or a Reagan, right? Hard to say. No telling, and it's hard to say. I don't know. I think on this one, if you're saying, I don't know about a pound for pound, but
if you got house money that you're bidding, who are you putting it on?
House money. Right now, I really like Marcus. You know, possibly even maybe Ridge Point. But could this be headed? You know, Ridge Point's been, they're coming off of the disappointment of last year, and they're looking to represent the Houston area. You know, Region 3 really strong after the bad luck that Houston had last year, right? The Region 3 area had last year. So yeah, I think I'm kind of somewhere in there. I'm gonna have to. It'll be. I think once we get into that regional final, after Friday's results, we'll have a much better idea too. Because again, keeping in mind that some of these teams, how are they going to respond? The winners from Friday, how are they going to respond on day 2, right, on Saturday in the regional final? So these players would have been, I think, freshmen the last time if they were on varsity as freshmen when they played this format.
So moving to 6A boys, Keller versus McKinley Boyd, El Paso, Eastlake, Plano in Region 1. Obviously, you got ties to El Paso, so they survived, I guess you could say, last week in a highly contested match to reach the Sweet 16.
Correct. Yeah. Last I checked, I think besides second season, the other hashtag here is survive and advance, right? So you don't get partial credit for surviving. You still get credit for winning. So yeah, I mean, Rafa talked about it in Sunday's episode of Inside Texas High School Soccer. That's a very appealing matchup between Eastlake and Plano. The one I really want to see, I think that's got everyone on the edge of their seats, out in Region 4, which will be in the House 4 Friday night. Harlan and Austin Lake Travis. Sorry, yeah, Harlan and Lake Travis. That's gonna be a phenomenal matchup. And then you got out in Region 3, you got Seven Lakes and Deer Park. I think that's one that I'm looking forward to. And you hit on it earlier as well. Just Keller and McKinney Boyd, 2 quality teams. They have the name. Keller has been on the boys' side, I think, hasn't been talked about enough, right? So I'm looking forward to all of these matchups.
What about Reagan and Laredo Alexander? I know they're. What I like is that you've got an Austin team, a Valley team, and the 2 San Antonio teams squaring off against them.
Yeah.
How do you like Reagan against Alexander?
Yeah, I like Reagan. I don't. It's not a key game that I think. It's not a game that I want to emphasize. I think because I think Reagan. No disrespect, obviously, to Alexander, but I think we know historically, San Antonio teams, Austin teams have struggled with teams out of the Valley. But that said, I think this Reagan team is different. This Reagan team has a chance to be very special. They're very, very entertaining to watch. They're play at a very high pace, high press, and what I like about them is it's a group that looks like they just really genuinely love playing together, playing with each other. So I like Reagan.
Any questions that you got on 6A boys, Rafa, for Coach?
As far as that Harlan Lake Travis game, I know Lake Travis escaped with a win last year. A little controversial, offsides to tie the game up, and then Harlan to lose on the penalty kicks. How do you think Harlan's going to come out on this game going against Lake Travis?
Well, I'd like to think the team that probably scores more is likely to win. But I think that, or not that scores more, that's able to capitalize more. Sorry, that's able to capitalize more in terms of danger plays in the final third, and Harlan very much like Reagan. Um, they got multiple players that can they generally play one style, right, but they have multiple players that can score on you, right. It's not a single player. Um, so I think that one there, it's going to be, Willie. I think it's going to come down to largely purposeful possession. Who's get it's a shot on goals. I don't see either team being able to run away from the other. So when I look at it in anticipation, I think Harlan redemption on their mind. These are the two teams that intrigue me because they both appear to be kind of on missions for different reasons, right? Like Travis bouncing back from their controversial, exceptional game, what a lot of people say was almost like was basically the state final last year, and their loss to Lee, and Harlan trying to get that one back from Lake Travis here this year. So um, I wish I had in my crystal ball, my gut feeling. I think Harlan can pull it out.
So moving to 5A boys, like I said here, Amarillo, Palo Duro, Temple Tech, Fort Worth, Trimble Tech, El Paso Del Valle, Grapevine, Region 2, Frisco, Wakeland, Mount Pleasant, Lone Star from Frisco, Dallas, Highland Park. Probably to me the surprise, Austin Northeast Early College Prep versus Sugarland, Fort Bend, Kempner, First Isle, Jordan, Richmond, Foster, Georgetown versus Brownsville, Porter, Dripping Springs, and Mission Sharyland. So on here, not obviously Region 4, no San Antonio-ish teams, but we've adopted Dripping Springs, for that to be San Antonio-ish, even though they're probably a little bit more Austin. So Region 1, I know you're pretty familiar with Del Valle. Your thoughts on 5A boys?
Yeah, Del Valle Grapevine should be a phenomenal matchup. Um, so yeah, I mean, what this one here we're talking about again? This is correct me if I'm wrong. Is this the one that is being hosted by McKinney ISD? I think.
No, Wichita Falls.
Wichita Falls. Okay. Yeah. So Wichita Falls. So that'll be a factor, obviously. But yeah, a couple of games that I want to highlight. You talk about. I mean, Frisco Lone Star, and Highland Park. Like wow, right? Another phenomenal matchup. And then one I'm interested in watching is coming off of a big win. There is you're going to have this. We often find ourselves talking about San Antonio versus the Valley, but now you're going to have a team
Austin
that looks
versus
to
the
be
Valley.
right, a team that looks to be finding themselves like seems to be gelling at the perfect time in Georgetown versus Porter, right, versus Brownsville Porter. What comes out of that? And then how does also another again Austin versus the Valley in Dripping Springs versus Sharyland. So uh, unique, different styles, and styles make matchups. So I expect there to be some sort of upset to come out of here somewhere. And you talked about Northeast, right? So does it continue for Northeast? Can they find themselves in the regional final? And if so, again, how do these teams respond to turning around in less than 24 hours and playing in the right to go to the state tournament in Georgetown?
Playing down in Corpus, how does that affect things for the Region 4 teams? The Georgetown, Brownsville, and Dripping Springs and Sharyland.
Right.
You win.
Yeah.
Well, does it favor either one? Because the Valley
teams. I think it favors the Valley teams because they've played there already a few times. Some games have when they had to meet up with the San Antonio team, they had to play them there. And Porter's, I think, out of all of those, Porter's probably the most battle tested of the four. They're probably going to be the favorite to come out because. And right behind them would probably be, like I said, be Dripping Springs, but then you have Georgetown coming up. It's like a third. But my money is, like I said, is on Porter because I think they're a more complete team. they've beaten some teams early in the season. Like I said, they had a great game against Lee over here in San Antonio. So I think, and like I said, the travel's not too far for them compared to the Austin team. So that's going to be, and then a little bit maybe the humidity, the Corpus it can be humid, so that can take a little toll on you. But it's gonna be interesting those two matchups.
Yeah, you talk about, it's a great point, Harry. You posed the question about the wind, and that's going to be, in theory, that's going to be inclined to favor your technical based short possession based teams maybe versus your teams that like to play the long ball and play direct, right? So, who can capitalize on that as well? We saw that played a factor in last Friday's regional quarterfinal matchup that Rafa and I called between Smith Valley and Reagan, right? And both teams, that wind was pretty consistent throughout the match. Both teams had it at one half, to their advantage, and Reagan was able to capitalize on their opportunities, whereas Smith Valley wasn't. So sometimes it comes down to, how this game can be. Sometimes it comes down to, as just it's brutal, and it can come down to just simply execution. Simple as that.
Then for the 5A girls, Lubbock Coronado, Colleyville Heritage, Lubbock Cooper, Grapevine, Frisco, Wakeland, Midlothian, Frisco High, Dallas Highland Park, Magnolia, Richmond Foster, Pflugerville, Henderson, Friendswood, and then Region 4, to me, which should be loaded here. Bernie Champion versus McAllen, and Dripping Springs versus Gregory Portland. All four of those teams, from my understanding, have pretty good pedigree.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, a couple of games I want to highlight is, congrats to Lubbock Coronado. They just keep plugging away. They just keep winning. They're going to go up against a very good Colleyville Heritage squad that I think two evenly based teams. So execution again, and maybe who can avoid the mistakes. We talk about Frisco and Highland Park. One that I'm intrigued to kind of see how it plays out is Magnolia and Richmond Foster. Really interested. I've been pretty high on this Magnolia squad all year, so I'd like to see what transpires there. And then, of course, we talked about, we had her also on this past Sunday's episode of Inside Texas High School Soccer, Coach Carol Walters from Bernie Champion. Mm-hmm. We talked to her. We got her thoughts on going up against McAllen. And again, same thing. Harry is playing there at Cabinus, and with that win there in Corpus. So I think we were maybe 30 minutes into Sunday's episode, and the Corpus win had already been mentioned about 3 or 4 times. So yeah.
Well, it's such a factor, though, right? That's
absolutely.
It's hard to ignore.
Yeah, absolutely. And then you look at teams like Dripping Springs, right? So that they're just the machine. They just execute. They execute. So, and at a certain point, these two teams that are playing against each other, you have to realize it's like, hey, we both have to play in these conditions. So mindset comes into play, right? Mindset is like who's gonna look at the win as a reason why they can't execute, and who's gonna just make it a point to continue until they execute despite the wind, right?
And then 4A ladies, Stephenville versus Midlothian Heritage, San Ellie Argyle, Selena Henderson, Melissa Kilgore. So the 211 Region 11 powerhouses, Melissa and Selena. Over on the other side, Burnett versus Bay City, Temple, Lake Belton, Lumberton, Bernie, Kingsville, Santa Gertrudis, Wimberley, and Cal Allen. And so Wimberley, Cal Allen, 2 winners of their districts, Bernie and Kingsville, Santa Gertrudis. So you got 26 and 29 represented just in Region 4. So to me, I guess that shows the power in this level.
Yeah, and I mean, kudos. I got to say this, and I have to stress this: is the 4A classification on both sides, the boys and the girls, but especially the girls, just loaded. Just absolutely loaded. I think it's going to make for a phenomenal regional, and we're in store for fireworks at the state tournament level when we get to Georgetown. But Stephenville and Midlothian Heritage. I mean, what you don't have to say much. Anybody tells you that they know what's going to happen in that game, they're lying to you. I mean, those are two just loaded teams, and I would love to be there for that game. But yeah, I mean, you have a team that's won, I think, two of the last four, or I think two of the last four state titles in Stephenville, and then you have Midlothian Heritage, the defending 4A girls state champion. So what's going to give there? That's That'll be an interesting one coming out coming out of Region One. And then you have Sanelli and Argyle, another one we're looking forward to. Sanelli finally breaks through. Sanelli girls finally break through and make it to a regional tournament. Are they, hey, we're just happy to be here, or can they push through against a very, very good Argyle squad?
Very good Argyle.
Yeah. And then the one of the darlings that's still in there, right? One of the Cinderellas that's making history as they continue in Burnet, right? Taking on what kind of has all of a sudden captured people's attention in Bay City, right? The locals in that area, they know, but I think it's not just how that Bay City's been advancing and winning; it's just how they've been winning. They've been winning in very convincing fashion. And then that last one, the last one that I wanted to highlight is Wimberley and Cal Allen. Cal Allen is now no stranger to this, right? They went deep last year, obviously played for the state title. Wimberley's coming up. They just made history, won the district title, finally broke through past Bernie. How far can they go? So these are all, great matchups that I'm looking forward to.
I will say Cal Allen, they've scored 35 goals in the 3 matches that they have, and they've gave up 0 so far. So that tells me they're a team that is on fire both offensively and defensively for that one here. So I'm not going to lie to you. I got my eyes on Cal Allen. Plus, they did very well last year, if memory serves me correct. So.
And I believe, if memory serves me right, these are scheduled to take place in McAllen.
Yes, McAllen ISD, yep.
Yeah.
Moving to the boys, Stephenville, Midlothian Heritage again, San Eli, and Fort Worth Castleberry. And I had to double check to make sure I didn't duplicate it. Salina Kilgore, Nevada Community versus Tyler Chapel Hill. Mejia, the surprise of the 4A boys, Stafford, Slaughter, Winnie East Chambers, and then in Region 4, Taylor versus Hidalgo, and Bernie versus Progresso.
Give me Mejia, man. Mejia all day. I want Mejia. Give me Mejia. They've single-handedly, I think, destroyed a lot of people's brackets, right? That's awesome stuff. Excited to watch them play. Hope they can continue their success versus nothing against Stafford, obviously. I think they're just running into what may be the Cinderella. You talk about pound for pound, what may be the Cinderella darling of the entire, all classifications, right?
Right.
So yeah, that one I'm obviously looking forward to. Salado and East Chambers. I know Rafa and I very big on East Chambers, and then of course, my man Coach Strong out with the Greyhounds with Bernie taking on Progresso, a team they're very familiar with, and and then you still got Hidalgo in there. You got again, very, very loaded for just incredible. They don't get enough of the love, but when you look at these matchups that are happening Friday, that could happen Saturday, and what it's going to lead to next weekend in Georgetown, it's incredible.
On the other side for San Eli, how do you think that they'll do against Castleberry?
I think they can make it. I think they can get through. Obviously won't be easy, but I think Coach Sappenfield will have them ready. You talk about the pedigree, you talk about the experience, you talk about the culture that's built in there, the culture of excellence. I think on the boys' side, I like San Eli.
Rafa, any final questions that you got for Coach before he runs?
Who's your dark horse to win it all here?
We talking boys or girls?
For the boys. For 4A.
I don't even know if I can I label East Chambers a dark horse? I don't even know if I can, obviously.
Yeah, really. Lily says you can trade your old Galaxy for the new Samsung Galaxy S22 for free.
I think
Seriously?
that one. Yeah, I think that one.
Yeah.
I think that I think they could be a dark horse because nobody had him on the radar.
Yeah. I say maybe potentially them. And then on the girls' side, if we want to, it's always hard, right, in terms of who we want to put that label on. But I'd like as a dark horse to emerge on the 4A girls. I say maybe because you can obviously you can't go Midlothian Heritage, Stephenville, Salina. You can't go that route. But I say maybe Bay City. I like Bay City as a dark horse.
Yeah, they've been under the radar the whole year. Like I said, they weren't in any polls at all. As far as preseason polls, and they've been surprising everybody this year.
Yeah.
So
hey,
RGV
I gotta say that's a nice jersey, by the way. I like that.
They had a pretty convincing win over Chelsea today. We'll leave it at that here. RGV has grabbed a 1-goal lead in the 88th minute over North Carolina FC, so it does look like that RGV will be moving forward for it, as well as Miami. The Miami FC are the other clear winners so far at this point in Open Cup action. So, Coach, like I said here, pleasure. We'll probably have you on hopefully one more time to talk about the wrap up, because I think what the
finals
will be next week, right?
Wednesday, I think Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
Wednesday through Saturday. I believe.
Saturday, yeah.
So I think the 4A side kicks off on Saturday. So, and I know shows coming up this weekend. You want to go ahead and announce that as of yet? If you guys got things set up yet, or?
Yeah. I mean, a little shameless plug. We got next episode 5 of the Inside Texas High School Soccer scheduled to come. Working with Rafa to finalize. We're thinking it's going to be Sunday. We just haven't finalized the time yet. So that is more to come on that one. I know. Obviously, we'll be out at Comalander pretty much all day Friday, working on calling the games. I know I'll be breaking away for one game, but Rafa will be holding the fort down. And I I heard some talk about Comalander press box issues or not issues, right? But just some, I don't know, shenanigans or what. I don't know. I thought I heard something about that. Yeah. So, but no, that's what we got coming up next on Sunday, and time is TBD, and we'll highlight. Obviously, we'll look at the regional tournaments, and we'll look ahead to all our Georgetown
state finals,
those that have qualified for the state tournament. Yeah.
All right, Coach. I want to get you out on time here. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. You guys have a good night. Thank you for having me.
Now you can complain about Rafa in the picks if he doesn't follow your directions here.
All right, guys. We'll see you. Have a good night.
All right, see you. All right, that was Coach Cano. Like I said here, appreciate him coming on. Please catch out his the 50/50 podcast. Was it Inside Texas Soccer? I believe is what is what the show is called for the playoffs here. For that here, I know you guys do a great job breaking down the action from the past weeks and highlighting the coaches in the area. Well, not even in the area, but throughout the state of Texas here along those lines. So while ours is focused mainly on San Antonio, Region 4, the 50/50 podcast looks at the state level and does a great job. So make sure that you do follow up with them this weekend at some point here. I know Rafa's planning on being out there Friday. What about Saturday? You
Saturday
being out there Saturday as well to call the finals?
I'll be there.
All right. So, pick time, my friend. South Lake Carroll and Allen. Who you going? Winner of 4 versus runner up of 5.
That's going to be a tough one. I mean, I think it can go either way. But I did see South Lake Carroll. They've They've been on. I've seen them play first when they play Bernie down here. They have a great squad. I think they have just enough of the talent to get by Allen. So I think they'll win that one in a close one. Like I said, that one you can see that one going into overtime. Even penalty kicks. But I'm gonna give the edge to Salt Lake Carroll. The other game, Keller for Farmont Marcus. That's either of those two games could be a regional final. Any combination. But I'm gonna give the edge to Farmont Marcus. I think they're just in a little tougher district. I think they're a little, not to put down Keller because Keller's a great team, but Flowermont just knocked off the defending state champ, so that says a lot. So I'm gonna give the edge to Farmont Marcus on that one.
And then who's going to state? Flower Mound or South Lake Carroll? Coach has Flower Mound, if memory serves me correct.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Coach with that one too. I think Flower Mound's gonna. They just have a little edge, Just like I said, District 11 is probably the toughest district for girls soccer in 6A, and top to bottom, just the quality of play.
That's District 6 on that one.
Yeah, they're District 6. Sorry about that. 6A. So that's just the quality of play they play on there. So I'm gonna give them the edge and punch their ticket at Georgetown.
Moving to the bottom, Region 2, Mansville versus Klein.
I'm going to give the edge to Klein. Like I said, they're peaking at the right time.
Rockwall, Tomball Memorial.
I'm going to give that one to Rockwall.
Then you got Klein and Rockwall, who's, I still think I have a feeling you're going to lead Flower Mound over either one of these teams, but.
I'm gonna give the edge to Klein.
Klein?
Yeah. But as far as the semifinals, I do know that I think they're not going to do them like last year where they do Region 1, Region 2. I think they're gonna sort them out, kind of like. So we could see a Region 1 versus Region 4, or vice versa. So we'll find out.
Really?
Yeah. So we'll find out on Sunday, late Sunday, who's facing who.
Let's see here.
But that would be an interesting semifinal game if it was that one. I mean, like I said, Klein, like your Dallas powerhouse versus your Houston powerhouse.
Because how they have so on how they have it, game 63, looking at the brackets here, 63, as winner of G61 versus winner of G62. So based on how UIL has it here, it sets up to this matchup here.
So adds up. Like I said, it could be a possibility because I know in the past they've mixed it up. So yeah, like they've put in like a little they'll try to match who with who. But I know last year they had to do Region 1 versus Region 2 just because there was no regional tournament and so forth. So, well, because of remember they played the regional the state semifinals at a neutral site. So,
right.
So this could be different, but we'll see. We'll find out Sunday. So how much is up?
Missouri City, Ridge Point versus Humble, Atascosa, or Houston Stratford versus Beaumont, Westbrook.
I'm gonna give the edge that one to Ridge Point. They've been the consistent team. It's gonna be a tough one against Atascosa, but they'll win that one. I'm gonna give down the edge to Westbrook. They've been consistent. They've been a good team all year long. They've beat some good teams along the way, but in the end, for that region, it's going to be Ridge Point.
And then locally, Westlake or O'Connor?
Hate to pick against O'Connor, especially now that losing a key player could make a difference. I know it's the next person up. You want to play for your teammate, but that losing that players starter is a huge loss. So I'm going to give the edge on that one to Westlake. And
then Reagan, Brennan.
That's going to be a great game too, but I'm going to give the edge to Reagan. Reagan, I think they're seem on a mission ever since they beat Vandergrift. That was their a redemption game. Then that really kind of set the tone for the other games here on out. So I'm gonna give the edge to Reagan, and then I think Reagan's gonna end up winning the
beating Westlake.
Hmm.
And then you got Ridge Point getting past Westbrook too.
Yeah.
So then this may change, but based on how they've set it up, based on the brackets here, Flower Mound Marcus versus Klein.
Mm-hmm.
Who are you rolling with?
As far as the favorite to win it all, I'm gonna give the edge. As far as wherever we don't know what the setup is, or if it is gonna be the setup. As far as I think the champion, I'm gonna give the edge to Flower Mound Marcus.
Who do you think that they play in the final?
That it'd be if they put with them with Ridge Point. If Flower Mound Marcus plays with Ridge Point, as far as the semifinal, whoever wins that game is probably going to win the final.
Okay. So moving to 6A boys, Keller, McKinley, Boyd.
I'm going to give the edge to Keller.
Eastlake and Plano.
That's going to be a tough game. I think Eastlake gets this one.
And Duncanville versus Houston MacArthur.
Duncanville.
And Mansville Lake Ridge versus the Woodlands.
It's going to be a tough game for the Woodlands, but I think the Woodlands will win that one.
And then on the other side here, Seven Lakes and Deer Park.
Seven Lakes. I like Seven Lakes.
And Houston Cypress Creek or Houston State Jesuit for the boys.
I'm going to go with Cy Creek.
And Region 4, so the San Antonio Reagan versus Laredo Alexander, San Antonio versus the Valley.
I'm going to give the edge to Reagan.
And then on the flip side, Harlan against Lake Travis.
That's going to be an instant classic there. But I think I know both teams are on a mission to get some type of redemption for, getting knocked off. But I think Harlan has more of a revenge factor on this game. So I'm going to give the edge to Harlan.
So then which San Antonio school is going to the state for Rafa here?
I know Harlan's been my top team all year long. Like I said, this game can go either way.
You're leaning towards Reagan, though, aren't you?
I'm going to lean towards Reagan because they've taken it and here's the reason why I think they've taken it to another level. If you're been, you can be consistent, going through the playoffs. And I'm not saying no shame what Harlan's done. Harlan's beaten some great teams, but Reagan's really kind of taken it up to another level, another speed, if you can say that. And I think sometimes that's the edge you need to get into like a final like that. So I'm going to give them the edge on that
one. Seven Lakes or Houston Cy Creek?
I think
Seven Lakes.
I think Seven Lakes will get that one.
Keller, El Paso, Eastlake.
As much as I love the El Paso team, will love to get to the final, but I'm gonna go with the edge. Keller's just been chugging along.
And then I'm assuming Duncanville because they've been kind of a easy favorite.
Well, like I said, against Woodlands, it's going to be a difficult matchup for them. But Dallas Houston games have always been a good rivalry. But I will give the edge to Duncanville on that one.
And then out of the four, who's your state champion? Since we're not 100% sure on the matchup here.
I'm going to give the edge to Keller.
Keller?
Yeah.
And depending on who they faced, who would be your runner-up?
I think Reagan. Reagan could be the runner-up.
So you think if it's a Reagan versus Seven Lakes, Reagan
I
think
if Reagan matches up with Seven Lakes or Duncanville, they can get to the final. If they match up with Keller, I think it's going to be difficult. Like I said, if you look at what Keller's done all year, they've knocked off some really good teams up there in the Metroplex, and I think they've kind of been like on a mission of themselves to get into the final. Like I said, they've been kind of stopped by a couple of teams out there, like last year by Allen and so forth. They've had some disappointment, but I think this could be their year to finally, lift the trophy.
5A, Amarillo Polidoro versus Trimble Tech, and then Del Valle versus Grapevine.
This is for what, boys?
Boys, yes.
Boys.
Sorry.
I'm gonna give the edge on this one on Trimble Tech.
Okay. And Del Valle Grapevine.
This could have been a regional final game, but I'm gonna give the edge to Grapevine.
Frisco Wakeland and Mount Pleasant.
I'm gonna go with Frisco Wakeland. They're still the champs.
Mm-hmm. And then Lone Star versus Dallas Highland Park, and I know Coach highlighted this one here as a must watch.
Yeah, that's a must watch game there, and that's I'm gonna give the edge to Lone Star on that one.
Dripping Springs Sherryland. You going with the still being bought off by the Baney, or you think Sherryland?
Sherryland's gonna give them a game. They're not gonna roll over. Like I said, they got quality wins, but I'm gonna give the edge to Dripping Springs. Like I said, they did knock off a really good Leander Roos team. So,
and Georgetown and Brownsville Porter and coaches match to watch in this region.
I'm gonna give the edge to Porter. I think Porter is, they're I know kind of comparison with some other teams of kind of common opponents, but I think I'm going to give the edge to Porter on that one.
Austin Northeast Early CP versus Sugarland Fort Bend Kempner. Does the Cinderella story of Austin Northeast end, or do you think they get by the Fort Bend?
Hey, I would like it to continue, but I think Kempner is going to win that one.
And then Fershall Jordan versus Richmond Foster. I think Coach leaned Foster, if memory serves him correct.
Yeah, I think Foster's going to. But like I said, don't count out Jordan because Jordan has got a good squad as well. But I'm going to go over the edge with Foster.
So Region 3, who you got coming out? Kempner or Foster?
I'm going to go over the upset. I think it's going to be Foster.
Porter and Dripping Springs. You're going Porter, aren't you?
I'm going to go Porter.
Back to rule number 1, don't go against Brownsville.
Like I said, they're both great teams. I think both can get into the final. But I think Porter just has a little more. And I think also from the disappointment they had last year against Valley View, because I saw that game, they manhandled Valley View as far as technique-wise and so forth. They were just unlucky because they got beat by a guy that was basically playing kickball, and he would just happen to run by him. And I think they learned from that, and I think the coaches over there have them focus on, not taking opponents lightly and so forth. So I'm going to give the edge to Porter on that one.
Trimble Tech and Grapevine.
I'm going to go with Grapevine.
And in probably the match that could be a state final, but first and second place in District 9 of Frisco. You going with the state champs who finished runner-up, or are you going with a team that finished first this year?
I'm going to go with Wakeland. They have the experience. I think they pull off the upset.
And then Grapevine, Wakeland, I'm assuming you're going with the champs, or Grapevine's looking pretty good?
I think Grapevine finally meet their match.
Or I guess I should say, who is your state champion, since we don't know the match?
Shoot. That's going to be – I'm gonna give the edge to Grapevine on that one.
Grapevine champion?
Okay. Yeah.
Over Foster or Porter?
Porter will probably be the runner-up.
Porter front runner-up.
Yeah. Let me say about 1 second real quick. Hold on.
Okay. So in Open Cup tonight, RGV did pull off the win. So most likely San Antonio RGV will be in the same pod here. So if it goes 4, I'd be willing to bet it's going to be Houston, RGV, San Antonio, Austin. If it goes 6, you're probably still going to have that same 4, most likely. To me, the question is do you bring in FC Dallas, or and then who would be the other candidate to come in for that here. I'm trying to see if I can see any recent scores here. Louisville's up on Chattanooga Red Wolves 1-0. Ford Madison's up 2-0 over Cleveland. Colorado Springs and Northern Colorado Hellstorms have kicked off for that here. So, but looking at for the San Antonio side, if it's 4, I'm fairly confident in who we will be playing. If it goes to, I'm trying to see if I can find the map here. So if it's there, I could see them Memphis pulling. If it's FC Dallas, I could see Memphis possibly being drawn, Tulsa possibly, or even New Mexico. Could be pulled in as well for that here. So it'll be interesting to kind of see how they group these. Although I think New Mexico would probably be more with the winner of Colorado. The Switchbacks, Hailstorm versus the Rapids, and Salt Lake City, and then probably Phoenix. They'll probably have that Four Corners Cup there. So that's why I think if they go 4, it's much easier to be able to determine here. So
I'm back.
yeah, I saw that. Moving to 5A girls, Lubbock Coronado, Colleyville Heritage, or Lubbock Cooper and Grapevine.
I'm going to give the edge on Colleyville. Just looking at some of the schedules, like I said, Lubbock hasn't really done – some of their losses were against Metroplex teams. So, like I said, but Colleyville's probably placed a lot of those. So I'm going to give the edge to Colleyville on that one.
And Cooper Grapevine?
I'm going to give that one the Grapevine.
Frisco Wakeland Midlothian?
That's going to be a tough one. Well, I'm going to go with Frisco Wakeland.
And then Frisco versus Dallas Highland Park, one that Coach highlighted here.
Yeah, I'm going to go with that one, Highland Park.
And then over on our side here, Bernie Champion and McAllen.
Bernie Champion's got a tough one. McAllen's not a slouch. They got a great talent there. But I'm going to give like I said, Bernie's got a big win over Liberty Hill, so I'm going to give the edge on Bernie Champion.
And I call this the Dripping Springs Invitational. Do we give much of a shot to Gregory Portland?
It'll be a game probably for 10 minutes, and then Dripping Springs will take care of that.
Magnolia and Richmond Foster. I know that Coach wished that he was at that game. Your thoughts on who gets passed on this one here?
I think Magnolia. I think they'll get through.
Pflugerville Hendrickson or Friendswood?
That's an interesting matchup. That's like a Austin area, Houston area, for Region 3. But Friendswood, like I said, they have the tradition. They've been the top girls program there in the Houston area for 5A. So I'm going to give the edge to Friendswood.
And so then Magnolia or Friendswood, who are we rolling with?
I'm going with Friendswood.
Dripping Springs over Champion.
It's gonna, like I said, it's always tough to be a team three times. Like I said, the second game was a little difficult one, and even Bernie Champion still played them tough, even with a player down. But just the way Dripping Springs have been playing this year, I mean, they're on, like I said, they're on a mission to defend their title. So I'm going to give the edge to Dripping Springs on that one.
Grapevine, Colleyville Heritage.
That'll be another great game, but I'm going to give the edge to Grapevine.
And Wakeland and Dallas Highland Park.
I'm going to go with Highland Park.
And who is your state champion?
I'm going to go with the repeat. I think Dripping Springs is going to repeat.
And then who do you think is the runner-up?
Would be a great game. I think a really interesting game would be them versus Highland Park. I think that'd be an instant classic, but I want to give the edge to Dripping Springs. I think Highland Park end up becoming the runner-up. Hopefully, they don't end up playing each other in the semifinals.
I'm pretty sure this is how the matchups will be, but like I said here, you
never know. Yeah.
You know this a whole lot better than I do, but based on how the schedules are drawn up for that here. So moving to 4A, let's see here. To me, I think this is Region 2. I think is the District 11 Invitational, but we'll see if anybody can crash it. Coach said Stephenville Midlothian Heritage could be the best match out of any of these matches. No matter the level here. So Stephenville Midlothian Heritage. Who do you got?
I'm gonna go with Stephenville.
Does Argyle get slowed down by St. Ellie, or do they put up almost double digits again?
I think Argyle will win that one.
Salina Henderson and Melissa Kilgore. Does 15 slow down 11, or does 11 keep rolling, or do we get a split decision?
I think Salina could score a touchdown on that one. And I think I'm going to go with Melissa.
So you're going all 11.
Yep.
On the other side, Burnett, the Cinderellas versus Bay City, and then Temple, Lake Belton, and Lumberville. So, the Lake Belton, Lumberville didn't really get spoken much here. It was more...
Yeah. The Lake Belton team, they only got one loss. They've just, like I said, they've flown under the radar the whole year. No one really... Because I said, they're a new school, too. I'm going to give, as far as them versus Lumberton, I think they get to the final.
Okay.
And then as far as Bay City and Burnett, I think Burnett's going to put up a fight, but in the end, I think Bay City is going to win that one.
Down in Region 4, Cal Allen, did they roll over Wimberley as well? I know they got 35 goals so far in the 3 matches, 0 allowed.
Just looking at schedules, I didn't really see a significant win from Cal Allen as far as quality. Like I said, Wimberley was in a tougher district than Cal Allen, and you can't as far as going down playing the Valley teams for 4A for the girls, it's not as strong as up here on the kind of the upper in this area. So I wouldn't be shocked. But I think Wimberley is going to upset Cal Allen.
All right. And then Bernie and Kingsville Santa Gratuitous.
I think Bernie is going to win that one.
So set up a matchup at 26. All right. So speaking of matchup at 26, does Bernie get by Wimberley? I know they've played a couple of times and it's been close.
Well, seeing what happened the last game with Davenport, because Davenport did take him to the limit, and that was at Wimberley. This will be at a neutral site, so I smell upset here. I think the Bernie girls, like I said, I saw them playing against Uvalde. It's starting to click for them. Just a touch of the ball, getting, creating chances and so forth. And I know they've had some problems with Wimberley, but I think this time they get it together and they pull off the upset and they go to the state tournament.
Bay City and Lake Belton.
That's going to be another great game. I'm gonna give the edge that one to Bay City.
Bay City, just because Lake Belton's new.
Not as well new. Like I said, I think either or could be original. Like I said, get into the state somehow. Both teams are just that good, but I'm gonna just give the edge to Bay City.
And then Salina's rolled over Melissa. I think we looked it up the last time for that here. You give it 3 in a row for them.
Yeah, it'll be closer, but they'll win.
And to me, probably I think the toughest match to predict Argyle versus Stephenville.
I'm gonna go with Stephenville on that one.
So who's your champ? Salina or Bay City? Stephenville?
I think we get a new champion. I think Salina finally gets the job done.
And who's the second place team in there?
I'm gonna give Bernie.
Bernie.
I think Bernie's gonna. If they play Bay City, they'll beat Bay City.
So you think Bay City? Because how the brackets are, subject to them changing, this would how it'd be. So you'd have Bay City second. So the final would be Salina versus Bay City.
So, but no, I think Bernie will knock off Bay City.
Oh, you think that? Okay.
Yeah.
But you got Salina winning, and then in the 4A, we'll start out at the bottom on our side here. Region 4, Taylor and Hidalgo.
I know last year Hidalgo got blown out by, like I said, by Bernie. You know, and because like I said, Hidalgo was very inexperienced with a lot of freshmen and sophomores. Now they're, like I said, they're battle tested. But Taylor may give them some problems because they do have two quality forwards that have double-digit goals, and they've beaten a couple of great teams. But I think since the game is in the Valley, it doesn't have Taylor's going to have a long way to travel down there. I'm going to give the edge to Hidalgo on this one.
Bernie and Progresso.
A matchup between two state champions. Progresso didn't play last year because of COVID, but Bernie took that crown, and it's going to be a great game, but I'm going to give the edge to Bernie.
Mejia and Stafford, does the miracle season continue?
I'm going to give the edge to Stafford. I think it strikes midnight for Mejia. It was a great run for them.
East Chambers or Salado? I know Coach mentioned East Chambers is a favorite of your guys's.
Yeah, they've been really good. Don't be surprised. Like Salado's really been, like I said, they've been the established team in 4A. Something similar like to Palestine, you know, and you know they're gonna give them some problems, you know, going into this game because, like I said, they've been there, done that, and like I said, they've beaten some quality teams, and like I said, East Chambers, like I said, I'm just kind of comparing, like I said, with their schedules. Like I said, both teams have really good, good, good records and so forth. But kind of looking at some of the teams they played, you know, I think Salado might have the edge because they may have they have 3 losses, but when you lose
the
to
competition's a little bit tougher.
Yeah, and I'm just gonna kind of mention they lost to a really tough Austin Achieve team that Bernie Champion beat, and they have wins over Taylor. They beat Lavernia, and during the in a tournament, they have a 1-goal loss to Leander Roos, who just barely got knocked off by Dripping Springs.
Right.
So that themselves kind of tells me that I know Coach Light is a big favorite on East Chambers, but I'm gonna give the edge to Salado. I think a little more battle tested. I think they went through a harder route, and like I said, plus their non-district schedules prepared them for that.
Region 2, Salina and Kilgore.
I'm going to go with Salina.
And Nevada Community and Tyler Chapel Hill.
I'm going to go with Nevada Community.
Ooh, sets up 11, both in region on both the boys and girls for that here. Stephenville and Midlothian Heritage. I know on the girls' side you went with Stephenville. Or are we going to do the same thing on the boys?
No, I'm going to go with Midlothian Heritage boys. I think they pull it off.
And then San Eli and Castleberry.
I'm going to go with San Eli.
All right, and then who's making it to state, Midlothian or Sanelli?
I think Sanelli. I think they come back to Georgetown.
And Salina, are we having double regional champs making it to state, or you got Nevada Community?
I think we're gonna have a double dip of Salina in Georgetown.
Stafford and Salado.
I'm gonna go with Stafford.
And Hidalgo and Bernie. You mentioned two teams that are on a collision course.
Like I said, Hidalgo was blown out last year, but there's like I like the attitude that Bernie has. So like their coach mentioned, there's no pressure on them. The pressure's on the other team. We've already done it. We've been there. We've done that. So I'm going to give the edge to Bernie.
So then your last state champion, you got Salina doing the double dip for both boys and girls in 4A. You got Sanelli. You got Bernie going back to back. You got Houston Stafford.
I have Bernie going back to back.
And then who do they face coming out of one or two?
More likely Sanelli.
So just to kind of recap here, you've got Flower Mound for 6A girls, Keller for 6A boys, Grapevine for 5A boys, Dripping Springs for 5A girls, Salina for 4A girls, and Bernie for 4A boys. Comfortable with those decisions?
Yeah, I mean, well, if you look at the teams that we picked in the final, like I said, in the Final Four, anyone can win it, but you do have some that, like I said, some do have a little edge as far as, just to play, who they played during the season, just where they at right now as far as consistency. Are they peaking right and so forth? That's, those are from, like I said, that's the way I'm picking and so forth. But like I said, anybody can take on there. I mean, anybody. Like if you look at the Burnett girls, who's to say they don't make a run and go to the final and win it all? I mean, but it also comes down to matchups. I think that's the key is, do you match up well with those, with that team? You can have all the talent, but if you don't have the right matchup, kind of like today's Champions League game, if you don't have the right tactical strategy to go in with the matchup, it's gonna be a difference in those games.
Rafa, like I said, it's been fun. Happy with your picks. I think you did a good job. Looking forward to your calls this weekend here. Any final thoughts that you got for the Sweet 16 teams, heading into the last week? I know you've been a coach. I don't know if you've coached a lot of clubs that have won a lot of titles. Your thoughts on, just your final thoughts on, what it takes to win it, to win the title. Obviously, it's a team. You got to have that perfect recipe between team and coach, which obviously most of the teams at this level have that great mixture. Comes down to a little bit of luck, comes down to avoiding injuries, which we've seen some teams unfortunately have popped up on. And as you mentioned, weather. That could play a part in the decisions as well. So your final thoughts and advice that you give to the teams going forward?
I know for club, like I said, I've won a state title through the club level, and it's tough. It's a tough route. I remember the first time I went to a state tournament. We won the district, but we ended up finishing third in the state playoffs, and it's like, all right, we'll be back next year, and it took a while, but finally, like I said, sometimes it does take some luck. It does take some, if you have the right matchup. Are your players peaking at the right time? Just the cohesion itself, the attitude, going in, and that's what it takes as far as going to winning the state title. It's the stars have to really align for you. No matter what anybody else wants to say, you got to have the praise of the soccer gods, and even for tournaments too, winning tournaments, it's you don't know what to expect, and you end up coming out with a trophy and great, So, but I just want to wish, like I said, all the teams good luck, and you've made it to make it this far to a regional tournament. That says something about your program and what you've done all this season, and then also to punch your ticket to go to Georgetown. That's even sweeter. But I know bottom line is, it's nice to be there, but in the end, you do want to be the one that's holding the trophy. That's the ultimate goal. And like I said, we have all those teams out there. Good luck to them, and I know it's going to be an exciting week next weekend in Georgia. Well, next Wednesday through Saturday in Georgetown, we're going to have some exciting games and hopefully some exciting matchups.
Do you anticipate that you're going to be heading up to Georgetown, or we're not going to allow it?
Probably not, because with work and then also coverage over here with some games here, but like I said, doesn't mean I'm not going to be watching. So,
right.
It'll be interesting how all this turns out. I know it's tough to make these picks, but it's like I said, you have to have a pedigree as far as analyzing these games, analyzing schedules, and so forth. You can't quote unquote be like a soccer purist or whatever, thinking, wow, this doesn't matter and all that. You have to have been there. Like for me, I've been there. I know what it takes to win, and what it feels not to win too. It's either or, and when you have that experience, and that helps you out and make the picks for you for these picks and so forth. But it's not to bring down anybody's program and so forth, and when any of the schools that we have on here as far as picks, if you're out here on these Elite Eight, that means you're one of the best teams in the state. So
yeah, there's how many programs that we've whittled down from.
Mm-hmm.
128 teams in each classification to the Sweet 16 at this point. So, it's it's about the memories. For the kids, it's about the lifelong friendships that you'll have from this run. Especially if you're a senior, that last ride is just. It's so special if you're able to win it, and if you come up short, I won't lie to you. I still remember my last wrestling match. Where I lost. It's something that'll stay with me, and I'm getting close to 50. And I still remember. Hey, I made one mistake, and I ended up losing 3-2, and that was it. And you remember that. I still remember what I did wrong, and. That was 30 some years ago. So
it was like this year. This year was my 20th anniversary of actually coaching high school. My first time coaching high school soccer, and never did I imagine my first year. With Coach George Wedding, that was my head coach. He was the head coach for the program. I was the assistant varsity coach. Never did we imagine that we were going to go get into the playoffs. Because the previous coaches didn't really do anything, and we lost our first district game, and then I implemented something into the program, and it changed the attitude, and we ended up going on a winning streak. And we did lose that one last game for the district title, but we finished runner up. We won our first ever playoff game, but 20, like I said, no soccer team in my hometown ever did that as far as a high school program, and to do it there at home too, because. Yeah, I was nervous that day because it rained. Like, oh shoot, we're gonna lose this game. But and then the following week, we did end up losing. We lost to the eventual state champions. And which was Reagan actually, and it was against Coach Rule. But there was no shame on that, because we never expected us to be. No one expected us to to do something like that. And then that was the start of that program being built to and whatever was left of it, I have good memories, and all the players that I got to coach for those 6 years, and like I said, I'm proud of helping bring a soccer title there to my old high school and so forth. Excuse me, like you mentioned, like the memories you mentioned, it's like I said, it's what you make the best of it. But hey, getting here, getting there's the tough part, but it's even tougher to win it all. That's the main thing.
So I'm going to end the show on some possible breaking news from Coxa Scout.
Mm-hmm.
It says, according to information obtained by @news_Coxa, Nathan Fogaga should return on loan to San Antonio FC. The striker's contract with Cortiva runs until the end of the year, and the loan must be signed by the same date. So will he be missed? I'm not sure if he'll be missed down there, but he will be welcomed here in San Antonio with open arms.
They got 12 strikers down there. It's like, hey, I mean, are you going to play him or not? If not, you should have just left him here in the first place.
So, like I said, I don't know if it's true or not, but that would be some, very positive news. Now, like I said, with loans, with visa issues, don't expect this to happen immediately. But if Nathan came back
next week against Loco, that'd be nice.
That would be really nice. I'm not sure the visa gets past that quick, but through there here, Rafa, like I said here, sorry, I saw that here.
Great news there. Now you have me wondering. Him and Laura, we're gonna. I'm sure Royce is flipping for joy right now.
Royce is the one that kind of put it here. Let's go. I'm happy. Hoping this is. Would love to have Nathan back on the roster. And the interesting thing about it is that's confirmation that his contract ends. So if he does well, obviously, depending on what San Antonio FC will pay in his season, might be something to where instead of getting him just back on one, it might be one where they can, hey, we will do the loan, maybe if SAFC is smart, maybe with the option, they wouldn't even have to have an option to buy because his contract ends. So maybe they can get him on a free, but that's pretty good news to end the show on for that here. Now, that was dated April 2nd as well on there, so that's already about 4 days old. So they may be working on some visa issues and stuff.
Maybe you see pictures this week floating down the Comal River, getting ready. But now it makes it interesting. Like I said, now. Imagine him, Patino, and Lorera. That's scary there. That is going to be scary.
So your final thoughts on the night? I know we already did the final of the high school. Mm-hmm. You want to tout your Champions League win, and are you fairly comfortable going back home with a 2-goal lead?
Like I said, it's still not over. But to win at Chelsea that way, Benzema now he's tied with Lewandowski. He's tied with Lewandowski now with the goals. If Lewandowski didn't get the Ballon d'Or last year, he should have. But
Benzema, that he didn't.
Yeah, that was a robbery. But Benzema deserves it this year. He's got 36 goals and he's been carrying this team, and but he feeds off of it, and you can see he's got that. I don't know if you were watching. He's got that glow. He's just enjoying himself, and at 34, that says something there. And even Modric posted a tweet about him. Just how special a player he is, but. He just elevates everybody. We got to see Gareth Bale play for a couple minutes, so I was surprised he even came off the bench. But
and then the other one, Bayern lost at Viral.
I don't think Scott's happy with that one.
You think Bayern makes when they go home they get the victory?
I think I think so. I think they'll get like a 2-1 or 3-1 victory, or like a 2-0 or 3-0. It's tough to win at the Alliance. You know, they're in Munich. So, but you never know. Real's got, you know, they're a very tricky team, and if they can get a goal, well, I know they don't have the away goals, but if they can get an early goal, that'll put a lot of doubt into Bayern Munich, and Bayern Munich's never been a team that plays well from behind. You know, they have to get a lead, and that helps them, you know, for them to stay focused and just on a groove to, you know, win games.
I think Liverpool's already through. I know they go back home. They're up 3-1. To me, the other interesting one, Man City only 1-0 over Atletico Madrid, heading back to Atletico Madrid for, you know, on April 13th.
Yeah.
Does City go down, or you think that they pull it out as well?
Well, Atletico played a 5-5 formation.
Yeah, they did the ultimate park the bus and still lost. So
they're going to be able to do that. They know they have to score. So
we got to score one.
I think Joao Felix has to step up. So does Griezmann. They're going to have to step up and create offense. You know, they just can't be playing with just, you know, parking the bus and getting a counterattack. But, you know, it's a tough place to play. How ironic, they're going to have 2 Champions League games in Madrid back to back. You know,
and then they don't redraw, right? So Man City versus Real Madrid, or do they draw again?
No, they don't redraw. I think they play Man City. I know Man City,
Real Madrid.
Yeah, I think Man City will be the favorite, but I think Man City might be a little. If Madrid does, like I say, if they take care of business at home, I think they'll be a little concerned on Man City. I think they're a little bit nervous because they did. I know to the end put a note, like graphic. You know, the teams all the champions that they've knocked them out, they come back and beat them and end up winning the Champions League. So, like I said, they're the dark for me as far as the forward. Liverpool, Man City. And then whether it's Bayern Munich or Atletico, you know, Real Madrid is the dark horse. But the key factor is going to be Benzema.
Yeah, I personally think it's going to be Liverpool and Man City. Mm-hmm. I think those two teams are just at a different level right now. Chelsea, you know, I hate to say it, but with all the stuff that's going around surrounding them, mm-hmm. You're starting to see the cracks.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's, you know, fair or unfair, you know, those decisions are made well above our pay grades. But to me, you know, Chelsea's not doing very strong in the Premier League. Obviously at home today, you know, it wasn't a poor game, but it wasn't. Real Madrid had the game the entire time. I don't think they were ever challenged.
They exposed them in the back. I think and that had to do with the last Premier game that they lost, that 4-1 loss that they had. I think you got to give props to Ancelotti. Valverde really kind of gave him a lot of problems on that right side, and it just opened up for Benzema and also Vini Jr. Vini Jr. had an awesome, you know, assist. So did Modric, but you know that third goal, that horrendous pass by Mendy, basically it was like a kind of Liverpool relived from the last final when whatever the goalkeeper's name, you know, he just gifted a goal to Benzema, you know, and that like I said, that could hurt, you know, that's gonna probably hurt Chelsea's chances to probably do something at Madrid. So, like I said, it's not over yet, but like I said, I think, like I said, I know Madrid's not the favorite.
It's over.
But for the going on, like this is for the semifinals, I know Madrid is not the favorite, but if I'm in City, I'd be very worried about playing them because Benzema is just on another level right now, and he's to do 2 back-to-back hat tricks on PSG and Chelsea. That, yeah, you got some concern there.
Then the other big match this weekend, and the only reason I'm going to ask it because it's probably the biggest match this weekend, Man City and Liverpool on Sunday.
Is that at Man City or at
It's
Liverpool?
at Man City for that here. Your thoughts on that one here?
I think that'll be going to Man City. I'm sure Jonathan will be Shenko will be happy with that. I'll give the edge to Man City on that one. I guess
if Man City wins, they win the title.
Yeah.
Well, actually, I think whoever wins the title on that one there. But Rafa, always lots of fun talking with you. We kind of talked a little bit, a lot of high school, went through the brackets, opened and ended the show kind of with SAFC, and then kind of touched base on Champions League since it happened yesterday and today. And I know you're a huge Real Madrid fan, so we could not talk about your big victory here today.
Yeah.
Anything else?
No, just like I said, just good luck to, just a good luck to all the high school teams out there. Just be proud of what you have accomplished, and you can accomplish more. And it's just more icing on the cake. And then good luck to the San Antonio FC against Orange County. Hopefully, we get some payback from the last year's final and get a win. Hopefully, we're healthy. It was good to see PC and Dylan out, so that's a good sign. And then now that we're getting Nathan back,
the rumor.
If it is true, then it's going to make things a lot sweeter for us going forward. Hopefully, he'll be here so we can knock off Loco again, since they can't defend against anybody.
Oh, Locomotive, man! I was on with Seriously Loco on their Twitch show last night. It was so bad. You can't, at first you were kind of mocking, and then as it kept getting worse and worse, you're like, okay, yeah, it's, it
was just as bad as Chico's Tacos a bit.
Oh, it was poor. It just, and what made it worse is when El Paso scored late and it was a brilliant goal. They're like, well, why couldn't they have done this before? But thank you for everybody tuning in. Matt, so that you showed up late to the party once again for that here. Coach, thank you for coming on for the 20-25 minutes that you did. Rafa, I think, took some of your advice and some of it not. Franco, like I said here, I know we're looking forward to the Harlan game this Friday as well for that here. I'm hoping for all wins by San Antonio teams, except for when they're facing each other. Obviously, both teams can't win. And yes, Matt, you are the best for last.
Yes.
We need to see about getting you on the Sunday morning show, getting you up early. You and Robert can tell us about the bunker life and the views from the other side of the stadium here. But thank you for everybody tuning in. I hope everybody has a wonderful week. I am still trying to work on seeing if I can get somebody from Orange County to do the get to know Orange County, but so far I haven't been able to finalize. If I do, it'll either be Thursday night, Friday night on that here. Looking forward to tomorrow. AJ has his first middle school game, so go Vale for that here. But hope everybody has a wonderful night. What's life